Ram Ram! Welcome to the Wise Stories. I'm Yuvragi and I'm here again with yet another interesting story with a lovely message, not just for young ones but also for older people. I hope you enjoy today's story, and if you haven't liked, shared or subscribed my channel, please do so for more stories updates. So starting today's story, the success mantra. Yes. Well, once there were two frogs who were hopping along, jumping along, singing Speckled Frog song, and suddenly they landed in a ditch. A deep, rough, stony, rugged ditch, a deep hole, and they kept jumping and hopping and jumping and hopping and jumping and hopping and jumping and hopping, and yet they could not get themselves out of that ditch. While watching them struggle like that, many other frogs collected around that ditch and they had started a conversation. Oh no, they have landed in that same ditch. You know, the other day my friend landed in that ditch and he never made it out. Oh, I know, this is such a bad one. There is no chance these ones are going to come out alive. And they kept talking like that, making comments and talking to these frogs, and they kept trying, jumping and hopping, and every time they would fall hard. They were getting hurt, injured, bruised, and they were feeling really exhausted by trying all that long. And suddenly, after some bit of trying, this frog just gave up, listening to all the negative conversation and the talk of the frogs who had collected around the ditch. He just gave up. While this one kept trying. The more they talked to him, learn from your friend. Why don't you resort to your fate? Just sit there and wait for death to come. Look at your friend. He's just waiting there. What's the point of getting injured badly and then dying? Come on, just give it up. And they kept telling him all that constantly negative conversation, and he kept trying even harder and harder and harder. And suddenly, he jumped outside of the ditch. Wow! Everybody was amazed. They all wanted to congratulate him, pat his back and said, wow, how did you manage to jump out of that ditch where your friend just sat there? What did you do differently? And suddenly somebody called out from behind, oh, there's no point talking to him. He won't hear a thing. He is deaf since birth. Now this frog was deaf since birth. So he could not even hear what the other frog were telling him. All he thought was the more they talked to him and the more they said, you know, you can't make it and it's impossible, he thought, oh, they were encouraging him and telling him not to give up, and he tried even harder and harder and until he succeeded. However, for this frog, he was trying, putting all the effort, really trying his best, and with all the negative conversation that he heard from the fellow frogs, he just gave up trying. So between both of them in life, what kind of a frog you want to be? I'm not saying you're a frog, but think about it. We as people are struggling, are putting in so much effort in something that we really believe in, and there would be people who would pull us down, talk negatively, discourage us, and tell us that it won't happen. So do we turn a deaf ear to them, or do we listen to them and stop trying? So that's the message. And also as humans, it is our duty to not discourage people who are trying and putting in so much effort. As a human race, it's our job to encourage people, to hold them up, to push them aside and have faith and said, yes, you can do it. That yes, you can do it goes a long way versus, oh, it's just not your cup of tea. Why don't you give up? So think about this story and the message with it when you try and you watch anybody around you really trying very, very hard and putting in so much effort there. So try and give them that positive encouragement, reinforcement rather than a negative comment. I hope you enjoyed today's story. For more, remember, like, share, subscribe. Until we meet again, Ram Ram.